No, no, don't do that. Not in the gas.
So let's just get this out in the open. If you know me, then you probably know that Arcane Studios is my favorite game studio in the world. Their previous titles since joining Bethesda, Dishonored, Dishonored 2, Death of the Outsider, and Prey, are all 10 out of 10s in my book. So yes, you could say that I was excited about Deathloop. So how does this first-person shooter slash immersive sim stack up? I would call Deathloop a truly innovative game, but it doesn't really do anything that Arcane Studios hasn't already done. The stealth and magic is from Dishonored, the weaponry is from Prey, the roguelite time loop mechanic is from Mooncrash, and even the invasion mechanic is from Arcane's cancelled game The Crossing. But all packaged together, it genuinely offers something that no other studio could have pulled off. While there are obvious inspirations from The Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, it's not really a good descriptor of what the game is. Our protagonist Colt wakes up on a beach of hedonistic island paradise called Black Reef. With no memories and no weapons, his only information comes from over the radio, with a woman named Juliana, with whom Colt shares a mysterious past. You learn that there are 8 visionaries on the island, including Juliana herself, which are basically assassination targets. However, they all have schedules and they're never really in the same place at once. So your job is to cycle through these loops over and over, explore the world, find out where they're going, why they're going there, disrupt their schedules, and get them all into the same place at the same time so that you can pull off a magnificent thing, killing all 8 of them at once in one run before the clock strikes midnight. I'm gonna get this out of the way because I know you're gonna ask. The kicking does not get old. You'll start your run on the loadout screen where you can view your clues, documents, weapons, upgrades, spells, and objective webs. I actually really like how the game presents the leads that you have. You can choose to follow any of them by clicking on them and tracking the waypoints in that info. But if you want to play it a little more hands-off like a real detective, there is a screen that simply shows a list of facts that you've learned about each of the 4 districts at each of the 4 times of day. So once you know where you're going to start, you can select which of the 4 zones you're going to visit in the morning. Once you're in that zone, you have an infinite amount of time to explore, gather clues, assassinate any visionaries, and track down arsenal upgrades. You can use Residuum, which is a resource you collect by killing the visionaries, to infuse weapons and spells, so you can gradually build your arsenal, and you keep them over each loop. And then it's off to kill some idiots. That is, if Juliana doesn't show up.
This place
Looks familiar.
except
It's older.
and I,
An asshole.
which makes you
Stop it. This is stupid.
Sophia.
Was a mistake. She should have never been brought to Black Reef. I know you're here.
Probably the most ingenious part of Deathloop, the glue that holds it together, is the invasion mechanic. At any time while you're playing the campaign as Colt, you can be invaded by another human player who is controlling Juliana. She invades your game equipped with a much better arsenal of spells and guns than you, at least at the start, and she's able to kill you 3 times, your run ends, and you have to restart the day. However, if you are able to kill her, you can pick up whatever spells and weapons she drops, and get extra lives for the duration of that zone. So when she invades your game, the doors to escape the zone lock, and must be unlocked by hacking a satellite across the map. You can also use the so-called hackamajig to hack turrets to aid you, and spotlights to ignore you, as well as machines to cause distractions and doors to open. All these factors usually force a confrontation between Colt and Juliana, and one of them won't walk out of that zone alive. The invasion stuff does work the way that Arcane intended. As Colt, I had 3 or 4 firefights that I still remember where I was on a perfect run for my objective, and Juliana totally threw a wrench into my plans. I was hunched over, sweat pooling on my brow, and a few of those times my run ended there when she stabbed me in the back or shot me through the skull. As Juliana, however, I never had much luck. I was not very good at invading, and I only tried it a half dozen times. But when Juliana invaded my game, I felt that same sensation of being backed into a corner and having to use every last tool at my fingertips that I missed from Prey. Which brings me to my real problem with Deathloop. Outside of the few times that Juliana had me cornered, I didn't really feel a need to be resourceful. The main thing I love about the Dishonored games, and the reason I've played that series for over 300 hours collectively, is that there are 100 ways to approach every situation, and all of them are equally viable, and you're able to experiment. In Deathloop, while you do have some room to experiment, you largely just don't feel a push to. The game doesn't reward continuous experimentation, rather it rewards finding your playstyle and mastering it and then using it for the rest of the game, which makes it no different from any other action game. Dishonored and Prey are built on that core tenet of immersive sims, giving you options upon options, so many that you feel it's impossible to choose what to try. Deathloop restricts you to only having 2 spells at a time and 3 weapons equipped. Of course, you can still try out different powers on different runs with different guns, but it just doesn't encourage that continuous free experimentation. Colt is already a god halfway through the game, and the purposefully terrible AI is literally just cannon fodder as you blast your way through the visionaries and sneak around to new locations to gather new clues. The kind of trick shots that you see people pulling off in Dishonored after 3 dozen tries, you're going to execute every 5 minutes just by playing Deathloop, regardless of your skill level. In that way, it is absolutely the most accessible of Arkane's games, and I am not surprised in the least that it is the most popular one. Players master the mechanics after 2 hours and start pulling off these crazy impressive tricks, and it's only when Juliana interrupts that there's a challenge. Without her, I do think this game might have actually fallen completely flat. The spells in the game are called slabs. I tried all of them out at least once, but I found Shift, which is Blink from Dishonored, and Nexus, which is Domino from Dishonored, to be the only viable pairing. And those 2 powers alone worked to get me through every single situation I came upon over my 18-hour playtime. The game never pushed me to innovate or challenged me to try anything new. Early on, I established my arsenal of a shotgun, a nail gun, and a sniper rifle, and I never once needed a different gun from those 3. The nail gun is silent, so I was using it for the stealthing sections. Combat was easy to take care of with the shotgun, and the sniper rifle was mostly there as a backup for if Juliana showed up. Each of the visionaries has a pretty distinct personality, and each is equipped with a different power. Invisibility, shift, supercharging, havoc, etc. Killing that visionary will net you a ton of residuum and a new power or upgrade for an existing one. I really enjoyed interacting with the visionaries and learning more about them and their relationships with one another through these recordings, notes, emails, and calls. I do remember clearly the eureka moment of inspiration where I actually got up and ran over and pulled a notepad and a pen, and I scribbled down my ideas for how to kill all 8 of these people in one run. It was that feeling that I'd been searching for throughout the game and had been continually denied, and that's the kind of thing I get every time I overcome any section of a map in Dishonored. I really don't want to knock this game because it has so many good qualities I haven't even covered yet. The music is phenomenal, the sound mixing is great. The 2 lead voice actors, Jason E. Kelly as Colt and Ozioma Akaga as Juliana, they turn in what are easily 2 of the best performances of the year. They're constantly doing this unhinged flirting over the radio while also trying to kill each other, and it makes the whole concept of the invasion feel so much more stimulating. Speaking to Juliana about how she dreams every night of ripping off your face and wearing it as a hat, and then seeing her appear controlled by a real person and then try to do that, it's awesome.
I'll be dead.
At least I left a pretty corpse.
Next time, focus less on the outfit and more on situational awareness. Hey, what the fuck? No wonder she hates me. She misses all my best material.
I also have to shout out the art design on Deathloop. The style is really similar to the Art Deco from Prey, mixed with the steampunk from Dishonored, and it's all run through this swingin' 60s filter and topped with a dose of Andy Warhol. It's perfect. The vibes are exactly what they're intended to be and exactly as advertised in the trailer. Another issue I've heard echoed by my friends is that the ending is dissatisfying. The real issue is that there's not an ending. And it's intentional, it's by design, but I think it totally falls flat. It left kind of a bad taste in my mouth, but I really don't want it to totally tarnish what I thought were a great 18 hours before that. Although Deathloop didn't quite give me what I wanted from an Arcane Studios game, it is still pretty fantastic. It has some of the best feeling gunplay since Destiny 2. It's this exhilarating action, thorough and rewarding detective work, and an excellent intro to the world of immersive sims. But it didn't evoke the same need in me to be resourceful, the same need to try every single iteration of combining powers and gadgets over and over until something worked the way I wanted. I didn't get the satisfaction of carefully planning a heist and seeing things go exactly the way I wanted, because Things always went exactly the way I wanted, unless Juliana stepped in. Deathloop is a great game, but it does not hold a candle to the masterpieces that are the Dishonored series and Prey before it. All that being said, it is definitely one of the best games of 2021, and I don't think you're going to find a more accessible game that's going to give you such an innovative experience. You're really not going to find anything else like this on the AAA market. I recommend Deathloop strongly for all players. I do really think it'd be hard to not find something you love about this title. And hey, if this is the game that gets more people to play Dishonored, so be it. I'm looking forward now even more to how Arcane innovates on their past formulas with Redfall next year. Thank you guys for watching. If you've enjoyed this, why don't you follow me on Twitter at Gondeezy. That should be up on the video there. And yeah, make sure to subscribe to GameLuster, like this video. You'll get all the latest reviews on games that came out 2 weeks ago. You'll love to see it.